Hello friends, Happy New Year and welcome back to mobile. 2026 is already stacking up with mobile releases and we're kicking things off the right way. And today we've got over a dozen new games, some straight disappointing and some legit 10 out of 10s you must try on Android and iOS when you can.
The mission will be completed.
First of all, pretty quick mission over here if you've been off this one for a while. War Robots, of course, has been around for like forever, and it's just still the mech shooter you want to jump into if you wanted big boy mech shooting, except if you wanted something subtle. But now you can do that with cross-platform progression. Grind just anywhere without losing progress, which is huge if you've got a phone, tablet, and PC all in around. It's not just that, why it's actually in the list to begin with is the developers release a new Assault Titan, and there's just a ton more coming out in the following days. The gameplay itself is classic, pick a robot, pick some weapons, and shoot anything that moves. Check it out in case you missed it, the game is about 1.5 GB. So, I Am Fish is now on mobile. We've had unofficial speculations, rumors, ton of misleading stuff for this game, but it's finally sitting on the Apple Store China, and you can totally play it for free right now. But before hopping in, you might want to know it's one of those deliberately punishing physics-based platformers, and one that sort of turns frustration into comedy. You get to control a group of these sentient fish attempting to escape captivity. The controls are like intentionally awkward, making every success feel earned and every failure hilariously painful. It's got bizarre humor, creative level ideas, and just laughable challenges for players who enjoy suffering just a tiny little bit. Pretty good game.
But where you go and what you haul.
Truck Simulator Drive USA Evolution is a kind of game you boot up expecting a calm drive and instead spending 10 minutes stuck behind a traffic that has never seen a road before. So when it behaves, it's very pleasant. It's a very pleasant game. Very good looking trucks, long stretches of highway and the familiar loop of hauling cargo and parking carefully without thinking too hard. When it doesn't, you see, cars just stop around, waiting dead, merging into you, or turn from lanes they shouldn't even be in. It's not broken so much as constantly awkward. I mean, for a free game, it's pretty good. Enjoyable if you're patient, forgiving, and mostly you're to just zone out, not if you're hoping for anything that resembles real drive. Very good game. Wonder what would happen if like Animal Crossing joined a satanic book club? Well, that's gotta be basically Cult of the Lamb. It's actually been in the making for iOS a good year and finally it's out for free. Pretty short, pretty clean, thankfully not stretched into mobile nonsense. Combat works better than expected on a touchscreen, even if menus occasionally fight you harder than the enemies themselves. The real time sink is still the cult management, keeping followers fed, sane, and loyal while everything slowly threatens to fall apart. Weird, funny, a little exhausting. Mobile doesn't improve it, but it doesn't ruin it either. Honestly, that's a win these days.
There was a guy in the vent.
And what did this mystery vent graffiti artist say?
You know the feeling when you're already tired of your job and a game asks you to roleplay having one? Well, that's gotta be the Biggleboss Incident. Pretty classic point-and-click dressed up as an office satire. And thankfully it doesn't hate you for playing it. You see, the puzzles mostly make sense, which is rare for this genre and even rarer on mobile. The humor lands often enough, leaning more Office Space than LOL, and the writing of it actually respects you. Touch controls behave, pacing says tight, nothing overstays its welcome. It's not gonna change your life, that type of game, but it won't insult your intelligence either, which is also pretty rare. Sometimes a horror game gives you control, but in some of those games you kind of regret having it. And that's gotta be Horror School Granny Teacher in a nutshell. So you're stuck in a frozen school where everyone's paused except you, and the game just milks that silence hard. The phone camera gimmick actually works on mobile, forcing you to look at things you'd rather ignore. It's not polished and it's definitely not subtle, but it understands pacing better than most cheap horror games. No combat, no power fantasy, just slow movement, bad vibes, and the constant sense that you're about to mess up. Play it alone, lights off, expectations high. This game's actually rated a 5 out of 5. Now on another side of 2026, we've got the Garden of Life. for Monument Valley 3. And this update actually adds the missing chapters, expanding the story with a subtle environmental storytelling and some optional side puzzles that deepen the experience. Early levels are pretty gentle and welcoming, of course, but difficulty ramps up sharply as paths twist as you go forward, structures merge with nature, and perceptions constantly challenge. Anyway, visually, it's just stunning as ever. The narrative remains understated but meaningful, rewarding attentive players. It's just a beautiful, thoughtful conclusion that cements Monument Valley 3 as a standout game in the puzzle genre. You already know, we've had going up games, a ton of them, almost as if like idle games so far, and Parkour Rooftop is another one of those that's not gonna be Mirror's Edge, but nothing on the opposite side either. I mean, you run, jump, miss, restart, repeat. Pretty simple, sometimes floaty, but mostly functional, which already puts it ahead of half the genre on mobile. Level design does enough to keep you paying attention, and instead of just zoning out, it's less about flow and more about trial and error muscle memory this game. Not deep, not that clever either, but mildly addictive in the one more run way. Give it a shot, it's about 350 megabytes in size, and what you just saw here in the trailer is not gameplay, sorry.
Welcome to Trophy Hunter. Gear up for the authentic shooting experience.
You open the game, see a new mode banner, and obviously wonder if it's actually worth a dive back. So Trophy Hunter's Club vs. Club is exactly what it sounds like. Developers just added the new feature of guilds racing other guilds by doing the same hunts you were already grinding. So no sudden esports fantasy here, just coordinated busy work with the leaderboard watching you blink. It's surprisingly actually readable, and the real-time progress does add mild tension here, like checking stock prices you don't own. If you've already tolerated Trophy Hunter's loop, this actually gives you a social excuse. If you don't, this new mode is not gonna convert you either. This happens almost rarely, but sometimes we get that sweet spot of a good first-person shooter from an indie developer that just works on mobile on a whole different level. So Complexa FAVELA is that kind of mobile shooter. I mean, the kind you expect to uninstall after like 10 minutes, then don't, because it's doing just a lot of things right. The game drops you in tight alleys, vertical shootouts that actually demand awareness instead of aim assist abuse, guns feel decent, no microtransaction nonsense, firefights are actually held by map layouts that reward movement and positioning. Visually also it's louder than it's elegant, but it still runs better than it has any kind of right to be. It's a pretty rough, aggressive shooter that actually understands its setting and basic.
Nothing can beat the joy of flying.
Goddess of Victory NIKKE went on and blew off the new updates. The New Year updates adding, just a ton of replay value. Free polls, over hundreds of them, new customs, new heroes. It's still NIKKE. Slick gunplay, absurd fan service, even more absurd waifus, and a gacha that just knows exactly how patient you aren't. Well, you get to access more festive content to celebrate the new year, with endgame rewards, more. Still, shooting feels good, the production values are dope, somehow it keeps working. Goddess of Victory NIKKE has been downloaded nearly 50 million times so far on just the Play Store. Since the beginning of 2025, you can say it's easily one of the more successful mobile games on the platform. It's free, online, 8 to 10 gigabytes in total. Moving down to number 12, we have a escape game, Spyline Rally. Look, this feels like someone mashed like a escape room into a racing game and decided commitment was optional. So you're technically driving, but the real action is hopping out of the car to poke at switches, decode panels, and just rummage through industrial leftovers. Puzzles are of course familiar, that had to be. Mobile escape stuff, wires, ciphers, light alignment, but they're actually paced well enough to avoid busy work. The racing mostly acts as a timer and a change of scenery, not a skill test. It's a little goofy, clearly not taking itself too seriously. If you like escape games and tolerate gimmicks, this might actually click for you. And on the 13th, we have the Macabre Journey. Honorable mention over here is the work of an indie team that's got a lot of heart and soul in it. It's a pretty moody 3D adventure game that kind of leans hard on Gothic. Symmetries, castles, fog, and a lot of quiet walk in between puzzles. Remember the PlayStation 1 game Medieval? PlayStation 1 game Medieval, the skeleton? It's that kind of thing, but shrunk down into mobile. And it's a little different. Controls are serviceable, not slick. The pacing is not going to survive impatience. It's not a horror game, not trying to scare you. Pretty much closer to an old school point and click. like, you know, type of stretch into 3D, and actually carried mostly by tone and restraint. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed. Happy Christmas. And if you have actually made it all the way here into the video, leave a like, and I'll see you again tomorrow.
Love can become a nightmare.